So welcome to another exploration into consciousness with the Earth Heart. And I'm super excited. We're super excited today. We have three new people join us and check out our conversations. Sareen from Idaho, Barrett, who is currently in Austria with his funky hairstyle. I love it. And Annemette.
No comments on mine.
No, well, you can't compete. You can't compete with his, that's for sure.
No, that's for sure. I should go quickly to the bathroom if that would be the case.
Fantastic. Well, I was wondering, since we've got some people who haven't been here before, maybe we do a little introduction, just a little bit of what you guys are doing, and then we'll just get back into the flow. And I might want to start with Cyrene here, because she's got this lovely painting in the background, and it's a watercolor, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, it's watercolor. There's pen and marker on there, and part of what I do is work with frequency, which comes through in a multitude of ways. One of them is art through light code, light language, sound, song, tone. And typically, when I'm sounding and toning, I'm also creating, obviously, in other ways, but one of the ways is art. So I actually started to create them into books with poetry. I would sing, tone, and the somatics would come through the watercolor into the art. And then I started creating them into books. I just had art piles of code and information, intentions, energies, and felt like that needed to be shared with others to experience those as activations, healings, etc., with the word and the art. But I also work with energy, sound, tone, frequency with others and with the earth, with the different magnetics with the earth, lines, clearing the energy, opening it, etc. So that's what actually I'm doing in Idaho. I'm not from Idaho, but there was some energy that was expressing that needed to be calibrated. So it's nice to be here with everyone.
Yeah, great to have you. Fantastic. And I understand that there's a galactification within the work that you're doing. You're working with otherworldly species, and you appreciate our path, our journey towards galactic citizenship, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's our true nature. So, and every layer of understanding is coming back home to themselves, through these processes and whatever pace that they're at, and whatever readiness and mission that they have. So, um, depending on how that unfolds for each person, there's different layers of tools, sound, tone, energy, tools. And I mainly work with bringing all of that through my vessel, through my voice, through sound, through tone, in whatever modality is at the time.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. Well, welcome to our show. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Barrett. Barrett, you want to say just a few words,
I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you for everyone, and yeah, to share space. And yeah, I'm just currently in Austria. I've been here since September. My beautiful partner Katrina, she's originally from Austria, and we came here to support her mother with her transition. And in the process, Katrina inherited this place, and we've been decorating it. But at the same time, I do the odd podcasting, which I had beautiful guests like Martina a few times, and just going with the flow, with the beautiful energies that are coming, showering our planet at the moment. And my platform's called Bioactivator, and I'm geared around biological software developer. I'm interested in exchanging energies with like-minded souls, but even with any individuals who are receptive and open to these beautiful energies that are flowing right now and showering our planet. But yeah, I'm just so excited. This is my first time here, and I've had the pleasure of watching the previous shows, so it's been very inspiring and very uplifting, and so glad to be amongst beautiful souls. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for joining us. I was just saying it's always good to have new people join us in our exploration, because this is our 5th year now that we've been doing. Coming up April. Yeah, we started April 2020, just before it all kicked off with the COVID, and that just obviously got us through those sort of, you know, peculiar times. And for some reason, we keep on doing that. So we must be doing something right. And we have people who you know, join us, and then they move on to different things, and then they keep coming back and rejoin us, just visit and, you know, bring their contribution through their energetic signature. And so this is a forum. We're very informal. You can say whatever you want. You can swear as well. I mainly do that, but you don't have to. And I'll try not to. But the main idea is to inspire each other and whoever wants to watch those recordings. And before we go to Annemette, to have a little idea what Annemette is all about, I just want to say that what we can do today is very open. We're just going to do flow, and we can just ask questions, because questions are opening new levels of awareness. So we are all teachers here. We are all healers here. We are artists. We are podcasters. We are, you know, we are in leadership positions, and, you know, all sorts of things going on here. But what really brings us together on this platform is a curiosity of exploring consciousness. What are the possibilities? What questions have we not asked yet? And what can we reframe, out-create that we haven't thought of before? So Annemette, tell us a little bit about you. I know you are channeling the mermaids, and sorry, I'm going to drop you right in there.
Yeah, I have been channeling mermaids, and I kind of stopped, but then this morning they were not back, but I was feeling like I should get back. But I have been going through a lot of weird stuff. I left the place where I had been for 15 years and a region where I had been for 30 years. And it has been kind of really weird, because I really changed landscape. And I mean, it was really huge for me to do. I'm without my furniture. I'm without just me. And it plunged me into some deep fears and things. And it's only now, since like 10 days, that I feel out of the passage. And I would love to, I also do healing sessions with people. And I'm very good at, I'm a scanner. Like I see, I won't say everything. I see what I'm supposed to see when somebody comes to see me. And I have had very impressive results, but it's kind of like, sometimes it's like, why do I have all this radar? But yeah, it's difficult to present myself, because I feel I'm dismantling. So who am I? Who's left in all this traveling I have been doing, like inside and physically? So for me, it's kind of difficult, because I don't feel I have my new base. I feel I have dismantled 50% of what I had, and I don't know what to keep and what to bring forward. But yeah.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. And again, I'm saying it for the 3rd time now, you are in the right place, because we are not here to define ourselves. We're just saying what we're playing with right now, because all of us have played with so many different things. Because I think, you know, we are probably those people that have lived, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 more lives in this incarnation already. Do you feel like that? That this is not your yeah. And it's like perpetual cycle of out creation, and that having to lose and leave behind that whatever was the comfort zone. And it's almost like there is an excitement about it. And sometimes we might define it as fear or discomfort, frustration or something. But what if that is really a level of dynamic living, and that radical aliveness of living by following the energy?
Yeah.
Hi, Marissa. Hi, Jen. So I'm just going to throw that in. Let's start with that.
Can I also say something to how is your name? Cyrene? How do you say? Cyrene, sorry.
Yeah.
I would
That's
just
okay.
say that your first name is name for a tree in Denmark, a tree in Danish. It's the
Oh, is
lilac.
it?
It's the lilac.
Oh, interesting. I didn't hear that. I did hear the mermaid reference before though, but I never heard about the tree.
You know the lilac?
The
Is it?
lilac, it's got amazing smell. It looks like a grape, right?
Yeah. It's in
Yeah.
spring. They come
One
in.
of my favorite.
Yeah.
I've seen a few different I guess variations. Some are really big like trees, and there's other that are more like bushes. They're like purple, light purple, right?
And
They
white.
can be 3 colors.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to say that. I don't know why.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Jen, this is Jen, one of our, valuable members, and Marissa as well. So yes. Good. So let's see what change we can invite today. And we're obviously going through a very intriguing, interesting, peculiar time, especially this week, right? We've got tomorrow. Is it the eclipse tomorrow? Beginning of the eclipse tomorrow?
Tomorrow night into Friday.
Yes. Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, and then
Full moon eclipse.
and then
Today is the start of a 13-day cycle in the galactic calendar, the 13 moon calendar, which I follow. And today is the magnetic star, the yellow magnetic star. And it starts this 13-day tonality of elegance and beautifying and art. So the next 13 days are sort of, I don't know, guided by that energy. And for me, I just want to throw this out there. I would do crystal therapy and sound therapy and Reiki, light wave. I specialize in energetic clearing and alignment. And what I do each time we do a gathering, Earth Nouveau Hub gathering, is I'll draw a crystal card. And today the crystal card that came up was Angelite. And Angelite holds the energy of deep peace. And so I've been thinking about all the crazy energy, and how do we ground that peace back into our life, right? It's like being in the eye of the hurricane, right? Instead of in the chaos that surrounds it. For me, it's coming back into my own energy, staying in my own lane. So I just wanted to invite everyone to think about peace. Like, how are you cultivating peace in your life, in your relationships, with the land around you? Yeah, feels relevant today. And with art, since we're in this beautifying and art 13-day tonality.
amazing. Deep peace, yes. And how often do we misunderstand deep peace? I certainly do. Because, I'm more of a, I don't know, fiery personality, a bit restless at times. So just want to out-create, co-create, create, allow the destruction to take place. And then what else can we do? And in those times of deep peace that you've just so beautifully described, I'm a bit like, oh, okay. How do I deal with this? How do I just allow myself to relax and to just let go and to flow? How do you guys deal with peace?
I think over practice, peace comes pretty naturally. I think I stay in a pretty peaceful state when others around me get shaken up. I can usually hold my own, but if I need to help them, the first thing I do is make them laugh, right? Because that breaks the tension. And then we just shift the frequency. Now, where I find peace, I love to be outside. I love to be in my backyard where I have 10 wind chimes now. I love the sound of it. I love to go hiking. I like to be anywhere by the water, sometimes just lighting a candle or doing fire ceremony. Sometimes things do shake me up, or I travel a lot and I pick up things that aren't necessarily part of the normal noise in my field. And so doing fire ceremony really brings me back to a state of peace as well.
Great. Yeah. Anyone else with peace?
I'm currently at peace, just sitting here listening to you guys. Just sketching away. I have the door closed, so that's when I'm at peace. That's like, okay. I have been gardening. I've been pottering around in the garden, just preparing for, the taking off the dead leaves and just also immediately, although some people now are already again like, no, you don't need to, you should not clean up right now because there are still the pollinators that are sleeping and blah, 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 blah. Well, I can tell you that I cleaned out the insect hotel and I put new things in and I opened up old ones and I pulled out the dead bugs that didn't come out, that didn't survive. And I have to tell you, the bees were actually pretty happy about that because they all came and they were like already running havoc around it. And I'm like, okay, so didn't do anything wrong, right? Not yet. Yeah, but peace, yeah. I mean, as a fiery element and also kind of an expressive extrovert, I had to learn that the hard way, right? How to be peaceful. Sometimes too harsh. But yeah, because I can be loud, right? And I try to tame myself, but sometimes it just needs to come out, and that's peaceful too, especially for me.
Well, exactly. And you're probably leading because I had, before we came on, I had a quick chat with Barrett as well, and he was Barrett, you made a reference to the post that I did about duality consciousness, right?
Yeah, it was very invigorating. I really am at peace with your work. I seem to be very well balanced in every aspect, whether it's masculine, feminine, or sweet or sour, negative or positive, and it's just bringing that unison, these opposing polarities to be centered, to be in the center of the universe, and observing from non-judgment, not to say that's not good, that's bad, and seeing it from a particular frequency, that everything is frequency, and just attaching yourself to these interesting frequencies that are taking place at the moment. Yeah, I find your work very uplifting, Martina. It sits comfortably with me, and it speaks a certain language that I'm very comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I was saying also, I'm very much inspired by things like telepathic communication and bilocation and stuff like that. In terms of, I feel that the human race is kind of being upgraded in so many ways, and I feel the shift and a beautiful wave coming, and the last year or so I've been raising my game, because part and parcel of that has been sharing sort of beautiful space like yourselves, coming to a place where we feel safe and we're not here to impose or to cause harm, and really to create a beautiful space that we can be fully aligned and express ourselves. So, and peace begins with yourself, really. You know, sometimes there's a lot of misinterpretations, and whether it's been deep programming or certain traumas. But you know, when you're with a peaceful person, you feel relaxed. You can chill, and you kind of release certain things that no longer serve you in any shape or form. And Bioactivate is all about connecting to the cosmic energy and the real organic Wi-Fi that I say. And I've been doing that the last 24 months, and I feel very independent in myself, and I'm having this wonderful relationship with life. And so I can sort of aspire to connect to organisms that I didn't know that existed. And I'm also excited about things like, you know, first contacts, galactic contacts, and it's relatively new, and I'm very receptive to that as well. I don't know if anybody's had these sort of connections, but I'd be interested to hear if anyone else is on this particular frequency as well.
Sorry, you come on. You are nodding.
Well, I just remember even being an infant, you know, a small baby, and just going to space and communicating, I would say, with my friends, with my family, you know. So it's just been this constant stream of connection to these different realms and these different civilizations and communication energy and frequencies and things. And sometimes they're not, you know, in these bodies that we sometimes hear about more frequently, that they're in bodies, you know, or they come a certain way and they look a certain way. Sometimes it is a wave or an energy or a sound or a color movement, you know, or a clicking, you know, or depending on who, how, where, what they have to say, you know, not coming into a with contact where they're coming into a body, you know, slowing their form, slowing their frequency down to put it into a form to be seen. So you know, depending on the bandwidth, the octave people are resonating at, you know, they can see them in a different way or communicate in a different way. So I guess to me that just feels like a natural contact, but I don't necessarily need to see, you know, see them that way. But I'm excited that the energies are purifying enough to where I say there's so many different civilizations, you know, that a lot of people don't know about yet. So that purity that we're receiving, you know, clearing out a lot of the densities is allowing for more of that to occur. So
Yeah, thank you. Purification of energies. Yes, it's all the solar flares and all the plasma that's coming in, right? That's really hitting us. So that purification of energy can, for some people, be quite a harsh thing as well, you know, because it really hits the density of the body. And depending on the level of self-mastery, the level of awareness and the sovereignty work people have done, it can really start triggering quite a bit of, you know, response and pain, physical pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, all that kind of thing as well. And I think this is maybe where I can throw in the polarization versus the duality, to come back to that post, because duality is an integral part of consciousness. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Or somebody just, yeah, okay. Is where we have the fluctuations, right? The seasons, the ebb and the flow of the waning and the waxing of the moon, the sleep and the awake time, all of that, that's all coherently working and harmoniously working together. And they can be peaceful and less peaceful as well at the same time. But if we understand that duality consciousness, then that is something that we can really appreciate and really go with the flow and not get all, worked up by being down the wave. I have to remind myself a lot of that. Okay, I'm down the wave now, so just use that and rest, because the next the next level is already coming. Now, if we take that now versus polarization, which links nicely with what Sarin was just saying, it's the turmoil, the chaos of the highly charged emotions that we still have to master. And from my personal exploration, it has been that misunderstanding of duality and polarization, because polarity is not necessarily something that we need to create, because the emotions are really man-made. The majority of emotions are actually artificially created through the harvesting system.
Yes.
Right? Annette, you want to say something to that?
Yeah, that's what I have felt these last 3 weeks, that I was really tested, as if nearly something tried to grip me. It took me like, I don't know how much strength to not be in fear. Like, it's as if they get desperate. It's like, normally I can get my self back into center, but these last 3 weeks have been like crazy. Like really, really in a fear frequency. And I'm like, why am I in fear frequency? And it's only when I gave notice here to get out that I'm feeling better. I gave notice yesterday. And it's no longer there. I mean, it can come, but it has no grip on me anymore.
That's really cool. That just shows how choice creates. Just making that choice, and all of a sudden, all those voices that you have been perceiving can find a different antenna.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Isn't it interesting how you were saying Idaho had some weird energies going on that you had to create certain frequencies, right? Because this is really, it depends a lot. Our environment where we live has a huge impact on our perceptions, sensory, feeling, emotional. Because we, as you said, Anna met at first, it's like you receive. You're a scanner. Now you're scanning the environment and you're perceiving whatever is going on. And sometimes we get too entangled because we think this is ours, but it's not ours.
Exactly. Yeah, it looks like ours, but when you go deeper,
yeah.
It's like a hologram that has put up in front, like getting mirror. It's so like, when a football team, when there's this good player and everybody is going around so he can't play well, felt like that. Yeah.
Anyone had like experiences like that and has something to share with that?
I felt that fear.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I felt that fear frequency at the end of last week too. And I had the same realization, like, this isn't me. This isn't my natural state of being. And once I realized that, I just pushed it out of me and I went on about my business, and I didn't have the fear frequency holding around me anymore. So I assumed it was something coming in from the collective.
Yeah.
Cyrene, did you have something?
Well, parallel to I mean, you could say collectively, but energetically, there's different imprints and energies that are, say, residual sometimes, that are lingering somewhere, that depending on the empathic nature of one's being, they'll pick up on, say if there is whatever layers of different timelines that have occurred there, depending on, like, say, for example, where you are you know, where you are, what has occurred there, what's magnetized there, and that's sometimes the case, or like whatever those energies are may trigger something that's being held to. You know, if there's something somewhere within oneself that's being triggered, even if it's not known about. But then there's the, you might say, outside layers of this last, it feels like this last ditch, you want to say, attempt to create fear frequency through some of these layers of broadcast, right? But they're not real. So there's, you know, there's all these different layers, and depending on what layer you're tuning into at what moment, or not consciously aware of, you know, might be what's being felt, or a simultaneous nature of all of that, right? But a lot of that too, I just really notice with the magnetics and the different energies in places that have, and that's due probably in large part to the areas that I'm drawn to at different points, you know, to work with, but they have a lot of different energies like that, where something has occurred there, and then there's another timeline that's occurred there that's a similar, you know, creates a similar pattern in people, you know, and things are recreated there, right? So there's that, but there's all these layers of disillusion and purification going on too within people, you know, their experiences, their lives, their lifetimes. So as they're purifying and dissolving and, you know, purging and all these things, there's also the waves of the collective energies too. So there's like all these different conversations energetically unfolding, right? Releasing, moving, shifting, transforming, clearing, unifying. And it's like all these different multidimensional layers, and they're all reconfiguring all at once.
Absolutely.
May we live in exciting times.
Very busy.
Yeah, we're very busy. All of us are very busy. Yeah, Anameta, as you were talking, I was feeling some like earthbound soul energy, like in the space that you're in. So
Oh,
maybe that's
you feel
part
that?
of what's coming up, the fear from that, from those beings that are like trapped in their cycle, stuck.
Yeah, but I feel like they're underground because they're not, I don't feel like they're in the house, but under the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't feel anybody in the house,
Yeah.
but I can, with what you're saying, I can really sense them 8 meters underground. Oh, I have to go clear that. I didn't think about cleaning under the house.
Yeah.
That's the thing with you know, nothing is linear. Not seen and unseen. The veils are just exploding and disappearing. So you got to clear left, right, under, above, all over the place. Absolutely. And but there's always a good question to ask is, for what purpose did you go there in the first place? And what is?
It started last summer where I got these downloads from this region, Bretagne, and I saw something with a crystal in cities that were underwater and underground that would emerge. And I didn't look for coming here, especially, but when I said the day I said, oh, I should better look for something, I saw this beautiful house, which is very beautiful, but had I tuned into the energy, because I was like blown away by the beauty, but I forgot to like really tune in. But I think it was meant to be, because the lady picked me. Like she said, come over, there's no coincidence. But I have never been able to settle in. It's really weird.
But you see, this is the thing. Sometimes we are being called to places because we have capacities that we might not have acknowledged yet. And you know, from a short agenda perspective, you know, maybe that was all you had to do, to go and live there for a couple of weeks, perceive all those energies and begin to clear them.
Yeah, I did a lot around, and on the 27th of December, I received, you have finished.
Well, here you go.
But I didn't go straight away because it was so cold and I felt so weak in my body. So I didn't go.
Well, maybe you weren't finished.
No, I don't think I was finished on a personal level. I think I had finished out in the area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You seem to be quite in tune with your energies, right? So it's a good, just keep asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if one of those trapped beings is one of your soul shards that needs to come in for integration.
Okay, I'll sit
That
with
just
it.
popped in with that.
Yeah, I'll let you guys talk. I'll go down there and look at what it is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just find it so fascinating now how, as all of these layers are shifting, like Cyrene was talking about, we have shifting on the multidimensional levels and different timelines and different layers of Earth and Terra and Gaia. And, we're also, as these layers are releasing, there's parts of us that are coming back, right? I think this like long journey of soul shard integration is, I think the more we integrate, the more peaceful we can hold in that space, more peace I can anyway. But yeah, it's just really interesting to me how when something isn't feeling right, it's like the squeaky wheel, and we look deeper into it. It seems almost like every time a soul shard pops out,
What's a soul shard?
it's part of your energy that was split into another timeline or time stream. Let's say you incarnated in a different timeline and had a traumatic experience. And so that part of you stays in that timeline or time stream.
Yeah, I get you. I just didn't know the word.
Yeah. So, I mean, a part of you, part of your being, right? Yeah. It's interesting how those parts are, integrating for everyone right now. And we can be resistant to it or open to it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just got it back. Thank you.
Yeah.
They were fighting. There were 8 people fighting for the Holy Grail. And they all thought they have found it. And they were like battling. And I just came in like, stop. And then I showed them that the Holy Grail was nobody's. It was the divines. And then I got my peace back. So
Yeah, you go. It's that fast, that quick. If you are in an environment where anything goes, where we don't have a right or wrongness, we don't have, but we just have open door consciousness. Everything is possible. And I just want to say one thing there as well, because you mentioned resistance, Tanya, and the resistance we feel wherever we go, wherever we are, whatever we do, is always equal to the potential that we have, acknowledged or unacknowledged.
have any of you had tooth problems? Because I had a cavity coming up in 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, there was nothing. And Friday night, I thought, what's that? My cheek is going through towards, and there's a big hole in here towards the gums. It's just been like eaten in 3 weeks. How the F can that happen? Like, really? So does anybody have had
But
any?
it makes a lot of sense with the work that you're doing at the moment. You seem to be busting entities quite a bit, and teeth are very much related to entities.
But can my body choose something else to do than destroy my own teeth? Like, really?
Yeah, absolutely. And it all comes with awareness. As soon as you have an awareness that you are into entangling, with entities, you can start looking, okay, so what kind of entities are we actually dealing with? And remember, we did that little exercise where you just line them up, because we've discussed before, it's like, beings without bodies are just as polarized, to use that word again, like beings with bodies. And we have to get to a level of awareness now where we have to become sovereign masters, not just in the seen world, but also in the unseen world.
Yeah, it
but that-
resonates. I can feel how I got into such deep, I won't say darkness, but my body felt so weak. Like I felt I didn't have access. It was the weirdest feeling whole January and February. I
Yeah.
called Barry several times. Barry, I don't feel good. I mean, I didn't get it. Normally, I can always get back to center, but it was as if I didn't have any center. It was the weirdest experience.
Yeah. No, so that's a perfect opportunity for you, having chosen that place, to have more awareness on that and get back into your I am avatar, and remind
Exactly.
yourself that you're the boots on the grounds, you know, and you're the ones calling the shots and nobody else.
Yeah, that's perhaps why I felt better when I gave notice. I just said, no more here. I'm gone. But it was not like it was not like it was not like a push thing that I wanted to go. It was just like I didn't respect myself anymore by staying. It was like getting, I won't say toxic for me to stay, but it was like I didn't fit into the equation anymore, kind of. So, and my next place showed up like, it was wonderful. There was this lady contacting me. We hadn't talked for 2 months, and then I said, "Oh, I could come to your place 2-3 weeks. We can do gardening." She said, "Yeah, come." So I just, okay, I'll go to give notice. Bye. It just lined up so quickly, so that was nice.
Good. Anyone else who's got something to chip in with that one?
I'll be back. I just have to check on something.
I don't have anything to chip on with entities, but what I have noticed as well, and to several conversation also in other groups that I'm attending, there is, I mean, the collective. I mean, we know that the collective, there is something that is changing, right? And I do believe it has also a lot to do with the fact that we are in a time, we have all the festivity from the past, and it's accumulating and accumulating and accumulating. And we do have many more people, right? So we also have many more, and here I'm going to use the word open mind, but we are having many more people that are using their minds, to generate ideas. So we have a gazillion loads of ideas currently floating in the air. And I do also believe that some people that are sensitive to, everything that is floating around, that because ideas is something, as you're gravitating towards something and you're creating something within, and it creates an attraction, right? So it could be that, some people are actually picking up all this as well, in a sense that it's overflowing. And I noticed that I have, for the last couple of weeks, really slowed down myself and also gone into stillness a lot. And I feel much less overwhelmed with a few things that are going on in my life. So, but as soon as I would probably go and back into tuning into what is happening around, the radio station, and opening it up again, I would probably just be, it would just be floating up and in again, in a sense, like, okay, what's coming up? What's coming up? What's coming up? I noticed this also because of the fact that when I told you guys that I'm writing now, and it came to a halt again. And I'm not bothered by it that it came to a halt. It's a natural thing that, you have a few ideas, you jot them down, it's yeah, exactly. But I was kind of like, okay, does this mean now it won't go on again? But no, it doesn't. It just needed another angle again. And I'm currently writing another thing just to, to separate a few of the ideas that are floating in. So, but I became much more sensitive to the fact that people were mentioning this all the time, the accumulation of ideas that are created by, the mass of the minds that we currently have on this earth.
There's an episode of Ancient Aliens that talks about, you know, part of what you're talking about. I think it's really interesting how they give examples of different people throughout history who have brought forth the same ideas at the same time, totally independent of each other, right? Whether it's like math equations or like the light bulb, you know, I just find it very fascinating that it's all of these spheres and energy are shifting. It's almost like things get unburied, right? And new energy has the space to come in and inform us, right? And inspire, you know, the ideas. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's that going with the flow, the flowing. Has anyone done 5 rhythm dancing? Yeah, there's 5 different rhythms where one dances in a wave, and it starts off with the flow. And the flow is very much like you're focusing on the feet. You're just dancing in a group. You start with the feet, and you keep your feet consciously to the ground, and you move throughout the room, and you float basically in this kind of fluidity, in that flow. And that, when I do that, that reminds me of being in allowance of, you have to be in allowance of the people that are dance around you, and you've got to find your space to go through without bumping into them. And it reminds me of this shape-shifting flexibility, allowance, that is a very feminine trait in a way, you know. It's where you're just holding space, you're just dancing and holding space for everyone else and for yourself. And then the next level is staccato. And staccato is very much, is all about angles. So you dance and you are using a lot of your hips, and you don't necessarily have to float a lot, but you embody your space and you stay in that space. And so for me, that's all about sovereignty, expression, and joy. And, you know, it's like, this is me, this is I am avatar, and, you know, I am the one coordinating my ancestral, you know, soul shards and my future soul shards and all of that. And then the next one is chaos. And the way you dance chaos, the music, the rhythm gets really, really fast, and you just, whatever, and you just let go. Is that letting go in that chaos? The music is chaotic. The people start making all sorts of weird noises because some people need to release, you know, and the body, and you just really work everything, your toes, your hips, your arms, everything, just let it go. And then the next level, the 4th one, is lyrics. So you're coming out of that, having let go everything, and you get back into reminding yourself of the sovereignty and the lyrics of your own life, of your signature frequency, and that poise and that grace and that compassion. And you start connecting with everyone on the dance floor again, before you come into stillness. And this is where, you know, some people then just sit down, lie down, stand still, or just dance very, very slowly. And that's a wave, and it takes maybe, I don't know, 40 minutes to dance that. It's a dancing meditation. And it reminds me so much of spiritual embodiment, taking your body with you on that journey of dual consciousness by going through, you know, the various phases. And it's interesting. I haven't done it for some time. I do remember the very beginning when I started doing it, I was a master of chaos. I was like, yeah, all of that. Chaos was my fave, you know, and I could do it. But you did dance for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's quite exhausting. I was absolutely exhausted. I couldn't do that fluidity things, like, oh, for God's sake. And now I can really look at it and think, oh yeah, I'm getting to a stage now where I can appreciate every rhythm for what it is, when it is. And yeah, just want to throw that in, because this is how I feel like we're being, you know, in this pressure cooker, bombarded from all these energies. But we can so do this. And that allowance of being and doing and having just what is required right now. What is required right now? Coming back into that present moment. And not having a point of view. And it's not right. It's not wrong. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is.
It was just, I love that, Martina, that the different rhythms makes me, I was just visiting my family in San Diego. My parents live there, and my sister and her kids, and my niece is just about to have a baby, so it's a very exciting time. And she drove me to the airport, and we were talking, you know, just about perspective. Like, that generation doesn't understand, like, my parents' generation very well, and the way they present themselves and the way they, you know, communicate, and the way they come from like this storytelling perspective. And I remember this, as you were talking, I remember this song that we learned in, I think, middle school. It says, take a walk in another pair of shoes. And that's how you learn to feel their blues. Right. And so we were having a discussion about like changing your perspective, right? That you don't have to be in the duality of not understanding someone's perspective and pushing against it, but just taking a step back and looking from that particular perspective, I think, is helpful to understand. You know, just as it's helpful to understand the energy of chaos and the energy of flow, you know, through that dance process. I think, you know, for me, I hold a lot of space, and, you know, I usually stay pretty neutral and peaceful. And so find myself doing a lot of that with the whole combined family. As one person is having this perspective and getting frustrated, and another person's having that perspective. It's like, okay, I don't need to engage in that duality or, you know, way of thinking or polarity. I can choose to, if I want to, but I can also choose to be in my center and be in my peace and hold that space for everyone to communicate in an amicable way.
So that expression, holding space, I love that, because it's a bit misleading for me.
Mm-hmm.
What is holding space? When you hold space in this polarized place where everyone has their different perspectives, and you come in as that sacred neutral, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're holding space, what you doing? Because people think, oh, you're just holding them. Oh, there's so much more you're doing, right? What are you actually doing when you hold space?
I mean, for me, go ahead,
ahead.
Sandra.
No, go ahead. For you, what is it for you?
So for me, I am always trying to have a deeper awareness of my own energy field, right? And see what's going on. So for me, what I do is I ground my light to the heart of earth and bring, you know, the earth energy up into my heart and my source code energy into my heart, and create this blast of light, almost like a crystal ball of light around my energy field. You know, pull my aura in tight, and then work like the pebble in the pond and create a secondary container of just beingness, just like neutrality and beingness. that can allow anyone in that bubble of reality to express themselves for however they want to express themselves, you know, and reflect back non-judgment. So that's what that's what I mean, right?
Mhm.
But it also is holding the multidimensional energy of all of those parts of me up through the 15-dimensional time matrix, anchoring to the planet, right? To the heart of Earth, to the heart of Terra, to the heart of Gaia, to the heart of, all of those multidimensional spheres of Earth, right? That space has the potential to allow anyone in it to see those parts of themselves if they're ready and willing. So it's a continual practice.
Yeah,
Continual revisions.
It's not just that. There's a lot going.
no, my goodness. I mean, Tanya just put, this whole dimensional thing to it. And for me, what I'm more and more doing is that I'm creating this triangle of peace within myself. So it's like, taking the seat, first of all. Usually when you're holding space, okay, you can do it standing up as well, but it's easier when you sit down, right? You root it with your buttocks, right? And creating this triangle of peace within, your lower body, and rooting yourself first. And then, you don't have to put anything out, because everything is already out there and it's already in turmoil when you're starting to hold space. So it's like just sitting there and then allowing yourself to be grounded, right? And not putting anything out from yourself, neither from your lower, neither from your heart, neither from your mind, right? This is what Tanya probably is what you mean when you are going into alignment with your dimensions, right? And for me, it's like, okay, I don't need to push anything outwards. I'm just, holding the space. And I try to now sometimes come up with these analogies of like, the inverter, the inverter that you use, when the sun hits the solar panel, you need to have an inverter that transforming it into the energy, right? So this is what you become. Either you can become a transistor, for those people that are pulling in this energy and then putting it out again, or you become the inverter that actually uses this energy, be it bad, be it good, whatever, comes in, and you're holding your neutrality, and you are actually, alchemizing it into something else without you doing it. You're consciously doing it. I mean, you're consciously holding the space. It's actually quite difficult to explain what's going on.
I know, that's why I wanted to know.
But it's really funny. If I'm holding this space, it's like, I don't feel exhausted afterwards, I don't feel exhausted like I feel exhausted, for instance, holding a whole meeting with 15 people. That I find much more exhausting, where you need to moderate, where you maybe, you have to have questions and answering and stuff like that. But holding space, even in a turmoil of people, it's like you're grounded. You're like this big fat Buddha that sits there and you're just neutralizing, right? That's actually what you're doing. And I always feel very well afterwards. I sometimes do it now, especially when I'm sitting, because I have to run through hospitals and places of care and restaurants and waiting for people and stuff like that. So that is where I'm doing it. I'm just sitting there and then I'm just creating this allowance. I'm calling it now my allowance, my space of allowance, in a sense. So yeah, that's, for me, it became this holding. I do have to say that probably if you would have asked me 2 years ago, what do I think of holding space, I would have said, what are you talking about, right? But I'm much more in flow with that as well, and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Love that. Very nice.
Who else wants to share their process of holding space?
I'll just throw something in, if I may, quickly. Sandrine, I take my hat off to what you just said as well, because it completely resonates with me. And I feel that when you're in that place of joy, things just flow beautifully. And you'll notice the biofeedback that you're getting because people are smiling more as well in your company, and you're raising the frequency, and you're affecting not just humans, but animals and all sorts of things. So it's a wonderful, and you get a certain fragrance as well, and you get a feeling of
The
connection.
pheromones are in
Yeah,
action, right?
absolutely. And it's a thrill. And for me, the ultimate operating system for me is abundance, because abundance is a state of mind. Um, I don't really respect, and I need to, because to be in that world of neutrality, we have to try and respect the people who have manufactured scarcity. For me, it's a myth. It's part of the division that you create that element of separateness. But when you hold sacred space with somebody who is thriving and really extending that frequency of love, the voice heart, it's very energizing and very uplifting, and you'll see many smiles come your way, because when we talk about real intrinsic value, it's not gold, silver, or stuff like that. It's energy, and it's how we're energizing each other. So it's a relatively new dialogue. I did it semi-consciously in my younger years. Now I take greater joy knowing the mechanics of how it works, and to invite people to be open source, and to invite people in like we're doing today and sharing space. And you create an amazing vortex of energy. And many listeners right now will have that opportunity to connect exactly what we are releasing. So it is exciting times. So I thank you all for that. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Baron. How does Irene, how do you hold space?
Well, I view it as beingness, the being in my own frequency, being neutral, being completely in neutrality. And that is pure presence. Like in that presence, being conscious, being present in the moment, I'm in the fullness of myself. So it's just a natural emanation that all that's around me will experience, like you were saying, feeling the way somebody may feel in that energy, and in that neutrality. So to be, whatever you're doing, being still, being centered, and being present is that, no matter what is flowing, what other channels are playing, on the radio dial, you're tuned into your own one harmonics. So, you're in your own joy, and that just naturally permeates through the layers. And holding space by doing that, being yourself, you don't really think about it. I mean, I don't really think about it as holding space. I'm just myself. And that naturally just feels to others that they can come as they are, be as they are. And going back to what you were saying about polarity, when again, since, a small age, never could understand those kinds of conceptualizations of polarized things, because to me it was nothing was inherently bad or good. It's just like, well, how fast is it vibrating? Like what thermometer is it? Is it on 60? Is it on 80? And if it's on 60, it's slower, or somebody's existing on a say they're vibrating a little bit different awareness, different oscillation, and the different understanding, where if something's really fast, it might be uncomfortable, or it will demagnetize to another person, where something else would magnetize, a faster oscillation awareness to each other to have these kinds of conversations, you know? So like this harmonization, the unification that's happening now is saying, oh yeah, that's right. There are all these different things. But if we unify them all together ourselves, wherever we were, are, was, were now, unified, we can all be here and unify with each other, nothing as inherently this or thatness. Because the polarized to me is like the or, you know, it's hot or cold, black or white, you know, this or that. It's just another container, you know, and nothing's inherently this or that. It might be different, you know, or the frequency might be different, or something somebody's saying you might not understand, or you know, it's a different perspective. It's a different oscillation, you know. So again, being like centered within oneself in your own lane, knowing, hopefully knowing who that is in that moment, and everything else will just layer, unlayer in the spaces in between.
And I also guess this is becoming a de facto state for us that are becoming, you know, these holder of this space, you know, what Siren just so beautifully described, you know, sitting in this harmonious field of your own and then being in this allowance. And there is no good and there is no bad. I mean, this is just connotation that somebody put on there sometime, you know, at one stage. So yeah, no, this becomes for us probably the de facto state where we just probably need to realize at one stage, oh, sometimes we have to put on, you know, the mask again to say yes or say no, right?
Do you know de facto state? For me, actually, if I look at space holding, for me, it's a very innate state of beingness, and I think being is also what Sareen. It's similar to everything that you guys are saying. For me, it's got, in addition to that, it's got a real dynamism to it. Because for me, it's almost like I'm weaving, I'm taking all those different points of views, those different belief systems, you know, those different frequencies that's sparking up, down, all the way down, up, all the way up. And I'm trying to bring them back into the wave, or, you know, adjust them to the wave. And that, I don't do this consciously. My body does that. So, and it just brings it all together. Alchemy has come up, that word. It's a transmutation. It's an alchemy that my body does innately. That is part of the job that I am here for. This is why I've been thriving on, or always seek contrast, so that non-judgment has come in from the very beginning, because again, I didn't understand that this is this or this is that, because everything is just the point of view, right? But of late, since I'm really understanding the 0 point energy much better, you know, and the vortex and the tension and what we innately actually are in every single joint and photon and cell and everything, I'm starting to realize more and more and more that this is what I am. This is what I am being. And there is a dynamic and a radical aliveness to it when I do this. And I think Sandrine said it, so I don't get tired. That really energizes me. And why does it energize me? Because I'm realizing that as I'm taking all these different densities and vibrations and frequencies, and I bring them together and I create through the 0 point, I create that raw potential. And I was like, whoa, now what are we going to do with that? Now what can I do with that? Because I have absolutely no impact on what other people do with that. And what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing that with myself at times, is there is so much, because of all the chaos that's going on at the moment and all the transmutations that we are innately doing, almost unconsciously, there is so much free, raw potential. And now the universe is almost saying, you know, So now, what are you going to create with that? How can you use that energy? And my thing sometimes is like, I've got all this potential and it's almost like too much. And I'm like, okay, well, what am I supposed to be doing with this now, right? And that is really, really important, because if you can acknowledge yourself as this space holder, as this alchemist, as this transmuter of energies, that 0 point, energy creator, it can get stuck in the body if you're not using it. And I think this is where movement then comes in, and where you literally say, okay, energy does not get lost. You don't destroy energy. Energy is just available whenever you need it. But there is a retention, just like we can retain water in our bodies, or food doesn't get processed properly. I have to be, that has been my experience, that I have to let that go. Just like I have to let go information. If you're one of those people who just continuously loves learning new things, you have to process through, you have to let it go, just like food, let it go. And then sometimes, this is where the mind says, or, no, I can't. I need to hold on to that information so that next time I meet somebody and I know what but that is the wrong ego. And it's a lack of trust. So we need to start trusting that our mind is not in our body. Our mind is outside of our body, just like our soul is not inside the body. It's projected into this hologram. And we have access to the conscious mind, just like we have access to our soul, to spirit, to source. Limitless, without limitation. And it's like, okay, I need this now. Okay, get it. Let it go. Never retain that information. Just let it go, all that potential at the same time. So I just wanted to add to that, because that has been my experience. I sometimes have too much, and then I'm hoarding energy.
I do that too. One thing as I was listening to people, and I apologize for multitasking today. I've got a deadline. This is middle of my workday. But in holding space, somebody may have said it, but I didn't hear it. But being able to accept everybody where they are without judgment, like non-judgment, is a big part for me of holding space for people, because people can tell me what their situation is, and I don't react and I don't judge. And often I don't even offer any kind of advice. You just listen. And to me, that's holding space, because I can hold the sacred neutrality for them. That helps them remove the charge from it so they can see the situation more clearly. I also hold myself, like I call it the easy bandwidth. I'm sure everybody has a word for it, but when you're really in universal flow and everything is easy because you will it to be easy. And it's not even a will, it really is a surrender to it, because you just go with the flow of what is presented to you. So when I hold myself in the easy bandwidth, as other people are having challenges with things, the way that I can hold space for them is just to help pull them into that frequency so that they can pick up on it and they can relieve themselves from the density of the situation that they're in. So that is another way that I hold space, is as long as I'm at peace. We talked about peace earlier. I would call that the easy bandwidth too. If we're at peace and we're in our stillness and we're able to hold our own and look at everything as an opportunity, and I don't mean from like a toxic positivity or like a spiritual bypassing thing, but like I haven't been presented yet with a challenge that I couldn't navigate through. So we hold ourselves in that stillness and that peace, and we emanate that, then that space that we hold around us intrinsically helps everybody around us and holds space for them as well. And it doesn't take any extra effort. And when we find ways to find fun with it, like painting or hiking or all those things, like you say, taking and doing some kind of movement associated with it shifts the energy of it as well.
Thank you. Beautiful. Yes.
I'm going to drive to a job site, so I'm going to switch over to my phone so you'll see me ask to get back in the meeting.
Nice to see your beautiful face. We're still in your birthday
yes,
glow, birthday week glow. So happy birthday.
Thank you. It's always fun to celebrate the Pisces, right?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Especially down the way out, right?
But Aries is coming. Aries is coming. Aries is coming. Ah.
Wow, right back in.
Oh God. What else? What other star signs do we have here? Not that it makes a difference, really. Just for fun.
Well,
It's like as I was listening to everyone just like talk about holding space and especially you, Martina, I really love that energetic, like, okay, now what? What do you do with that energy? Anna Mette was talking about her awareness with the crystal cities. And I was just like thinking about, as I'm home now, thinking about my journey over the past few days and all the space holding that I was doing. And then what? Then what did I do? So went on this amazing hike in this beautiful area that I really love near the San Diego River. And I've had that awareness too, Anamete, of the crystal cities, underneath the ground, in the past timelines, but also this awareness of these cities of light that are coming in for grounding. And so just really like as I was taking that walk in this beautiful place along the river, just really tuning into the fact that there's another crystal city of light like coming up in that space, just like there is here in my home space. So it's kind of really cool to have an awareness of that and be able to, act as a grounding cord for it. We in human bodies, when we're acting, just like boots on the ground, we're grounding so much of that higher frequency energy just innately, naturally. Like you said, Martina, your body is a transducer and a transmuter for so much. And I think like when we're in that awareness that we're all doing that in some way, shape, or form. So I'm just really excited about all of the higher frequency beauty that's coming through into my awareness, and really grateful for that. And that really gives me that sense of peace also.
Yeah.
Can I share something? I got like while you were talking. I have been observing you, Tanya. I have never seen anybody processing like you. Like, hello, you are processing information so quickly, and it's just as if you're like a computer, and everything comes in geometry and math. It's like in coding, like I don't get a thing of what you're doing. I mean, I can feel it, but I would just, and then I was sitting looking at all of us and how amazing it is, how different we all are. And yet we're still here for like helping Earth. Like, I find that fascinating. And then I did a meditation the other day with a lady. She said it was only 20 minutes and we should lay down and go to the central sun and see what energy we have been created in. And normally these things don't really work for me if I don't have confidence, but I just left the body straight away and went to the central sun, and I saw that I was created of flowers and trees. That was the energy. And then while sitting with us here, and I'm thinking of, but wouldn't everybody be like done in the same energy? Or is it particular for me that I have trees and flower energy? And then I went to the rest of the meditation where we should look how our soul had worked. And I saw all these crystalline cities out in the galactic and inside Earth. And I saw that I was the point that connected them together, kind of like and then I asked in my head, but it all went so quickly, where should I then go live? And I was flowing over above France, and I was like, no, it can't be in France, because I discovered I have to pay a lot of taxes on an inheritance in France, and I have to pay in Denmark. So I was like, no, I don't stay in France for long. But then I ended up in Spain. But I don't know if that's where I'm meant to go, because my whole body and my heart says go back to your birth country. So how I guess I have several things to share. It's like, how can we trust what we are seeing? Like, because I was out of body, because I am getting more into trusting my, I won't say my instincts, but I'm more skeptical with what I got when I'm out flying around, because I didn't feel I was in any control. So I don't know, I had to share that, but.
Well, it resonates with me, because I'm a person who has been living in various places on this earth due to my job, and through funny circumstances, I'm actually back home in my home country, and I have to say it's a very interesting reconnecting with the energies in my. Okay, I always have to say that I exactly know where my roots are, in the sense, the roots, you know, where I came from, in a sense, because I always have a very strong, especially when I'm traveling and when I'm being away for work and I'm coming back, as soon as I ground myself back into my country here, I you know, I feel rejuvenated, in a sense, you know, because I know this energy, and I know I can. I'm not speaking of anything that is going on around me, but I'm just speaking of, you know, this energy that is coming from the earth, and that is like, okay. And I actually am very happy that in my current circumstances that I'm back in that energy, because it feels nurturing, and it feels it holds me, right?
It's
So
exactly why I want to go back, because I have felt a calling with what is coming on earth. I need to be in a safe container, which is safe for me. And I was like, going to Spain, I don't speak a word of Spanish. I was like, I can't do it, man. Thank you for that.
No, you're welcome.
I think I really needed to hear that, because it's getting more and more clear. I haven't been back in my own country for 31 years. So that should be interesting.
Oh yeah, we're here for you. We have your back.
Thank you. But it's really like, I know that I'll go back, but I haven't realized it yet. It's so overwhelming. Like, really? Then I have to get rid of my car, my stuff. I can't transport all that to Denmark. It's like, oh my gosh. But
you can drive through Germany, and then you don't have to get rid of your car.
What?
You can drive through Germany, so you don't have to get rid of your car.
No, because the taxes you have to pay in Denmark on a car.
Right. There was something about that.
Yeah, and it's my little tiny Twingo, so.
There's a lot of that's happening now, that people are being called back to their birthplace. Because there's either more karmic resolution to be done, not just for yourself, obviously, for the family, for the people there, and for the land itself. I mean, there's a reason why we chose a body in a certain to be born in a certain country, because we are connected to that country until we have disentangled from it. So, you know, I was born in Austria, and I've been away now for 30 years. And I would say the place I have to be is in the UK for some very weird reason, in London in particular. It was a journey for me to go back many times to disentangle from everything that I needed to disentangle there. So if I go back there now, I'm just a visitor, and I can enjoy it now in a completely different way. There was times where, you know, after 2 days I had enough, and I was like ready to go, because there was too much polarization. I wasn't at the, you know, there was too much. I wasn't at the place where I could deal with it.
Yeah, I have had these periods, but now I can't. Since 3 years, everything is okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's the best. You don't need to pay for therapy. You just go home.
Yeah.
Best.
Yeah.
But I was really confused.
And you therapize yourself.
I had decided to go home, and then I did this meditation that flew me to Spain. I was just like, what's that about? Like,
I think answering the question, and Sandrine said it as well. It's like you were saying in the beginning, the body is telling you to go back.
oh yeah, it's the body. My heart, it's the
And
whole thing, and it has been going on for a year. I just didn't want to listen.
yeah, just when it comes to feelings and the body, it's sometimes a good thing to listen to the body, because the body
But I
knows.
don't feel very joyful, but that's because I'm projecting out past experiences. I'm not neutral so
Yeah.
I think that's playing on me, like.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
thank
I
you
like what you were saying about listening to the body, Martina, because, Anamete, as you were talking about, flying like out of your body, going into the sun and like not trusting the information, the body, allows us to feel that, intuition. Like we know what our body's yes is. And resonating with that, when we're seated more fully in the body, it's easier to know if something's right or something's not, because you have, all of those elementals, the physical elementals working in conjunction with the spirit, right? To give you that like energy resonance of, oh, this is right. Oh, this isn't right. Oh, no, I'm walking away from that, or I'm leaning into it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it has been going on for a year, because last year I went to a place in my car to do some woofing, and then I said, "Oh, I can't live here. There's no view." I just let everything express, and then I thought, okay, that was not the place when I drove home. Oh, I can just buy this house over in the west of France, and then this boom, like a thunder volcano come up. No, like, and I know it's going back to Denmark. It's just like, it has taken me so long to allow myself to hear it. It has been there all along, but I was refusing. I had all kinds of, dentists are expensive, it's too cold, you can't cultivate vegetables, and everything like was like, okay, dentist, perhaps it's expensive, then what? And then the vegetables, I started following somebody on Instagram. I realized you can cultivate a lot of vegetables in winter. So it was like, okay, now that one's gone out of the window.
And if I give you another very mundane tip, but I have used that for a while, play tourist in your own country. It's absolutely fantastic. I I have booked myself on several tours now, although I mean I know the places, right? But you see them from completely different angles, especially also when people are just, giving you some hints. Now on this Saturday I will walk through, so I'm from Luxembourg. I'm in Luxembourg, country of Luxembourg, and in Luxembourg City is in a so you have two parts of Luxembourg City, and in the middle there is a deep valley. And I will go on I have done that tour already, but like 20 years ago, and it will be a tour again through the valley, and I will just go and rediscover actually what is there, and somebody will tell wonderful things and what have you not. But it's fun to actually do that and rediscover and see it from different perspectives as well, and also in new things that are popping up left and right. So it's just amazing. I like it.
Yeah, I've done that when I was on vacation. I have visited places I have never seen in my own country.
Yeah, you see.
And it's also,
Well, didn't Hans Christian Andersen also write the story of the Little Mermaid in Denmark?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm born where he was born. Like, I'm from that town.
well, here you go. So maybe you channeling the mermaids is part of that. Just wait and see what happens once you get back there. You might get major downloads when you're there. And also remember, Anameta, you're no longer the person that left, or
No,
that
of course not.
you truly are. And I love this, Sandrine. You truly are a visitor now.
Yeah, that's true.
And we also have a mermaid here in
That gives me
Luxembourg.
goosebumps. I'll go as a visitor. I don't want to go as the version I was. Okay, that makes sense.
And there will, what might happen, be aware of that, and that's just an awareness. As soon as we go back, especially when we meet certain people, and there is something called biomimetic mimicry and biomimetric mimicry, and I see this often, when I do go back, and you spend some days there, that it's almost like your body starts morphing and you start looking different. And you
Yes.
start having certain, no,
It's true.
in a
It's
way.
true.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? You start, adapting because the body remembers. And it's not so much that you haven't healed those parts of you. You may have healed them already, but it's so easy to jump back into a limited box. And then just remind yourself when that happens. It's like, okay, you don't have to take that on. Because there's always energy doesn't, you can't destroy energy. Even if you do the healing, the energy is still there. And as soon as you come in and you're not aware of the way your signature frequency might change, because maybe the boundaries are, might have a little hole here or there, that kind of thing. It's so easy to tap back into an energy that no longer works for you.
But what would you think then about that meditation I did? Could I just capture something that is not me, or because
yeah,
I
can. Of course you can. This is why it is so important, especially with what you were saying, the awareness of entities that you have.
Oh, thank you.
It's
Got it.
embodied spirituality. I mean, you can play with expansion whilst you're still grounded.
Yeah, that's exactly what I didn't like about that meditation.
Yeah. Anything that asks you to come out of the body is old paradigm. We used to do that.
Yeah, thank you. I
Now
really
we can
needed
just bring everything here.
Yeah. I am happy I'll go back. Oh man.
I wonder though too, that experience you have with flying to Spain, if it wasn't, if it's not the now you who that information was important to, but one of those soul shards along one of your timelines. Because you were
Yeah,
talking about the Templars earlier, right? That were fighting over the Grail. They didn't even know what the Grail was, but it feels
because I have
related.
never finished. I get so excited when you say that, because I tried to go back and see what it was about, and it's actually me having to clear something down there.
Mhm.
I mean, I can do it in distance. I don't need to go, but
So maybe it's just a trip, a long weekend.
no, I don't think I have to go, but I'll go south to France, and I think I'll go down there because I have been wanting to go for years and I did not. It's in the Pays de Basque, in the Basque land,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very particular. So
They are very particular. They are.
Well, the food's good anyway.
Yeah.
oh my gosh, how I just enjoy being with you. Like, hello.
You're welcome.
I'm so happy to see all three of you,
Yes.
you folks today. And I'm always happy to see, all the rest of you too.
But what I really like about it, it's no fluffy, lovey, like, nyang, nyang. It's here.
We call it as it is, right?
Yeah, it's not the fluffy thing. Oh, like I can't stand that. It's just, I need real.
There was one show. Do we call this a show or a gathering? I don't know.
Whatever you
So
want.
there was one
Doesn't matter.
gathering that we did where one lady who's not on today, Kara, was talking about going back to her place of birth and making an offering, with crystals or stones or like things that she's made, and how powerful that was for her to connect with that energy, right? And just to be like the now you, grounding in that space and offering something of a value to Earth Mother, as a thank you for, opening her space for you to drop in there
Yes.
energetically.
I would love to have a garden where I can connect with inner earth and then open portals, and like a painting where, like Surin, that's like a Google map from the galactics out there. screenshot of space for like 8 dimensions, and I would love to create a garden where there are all these different energies and all these different, I can't tell what it will be like, but I have like the feeling like I will just follow my guidance and just put stones in place, and I mean whatever is gonna, and people can come and sit in these different places in the garden and just be there and integrate, and I don't know. That's what I want to do.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So much to do.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think, you know, with the energies as well, because you're saying we're not so fluffy. We can be fluffy too, because remember, we are sacred neutral.
Yeah, but I'm talking about those who are so polarized in only fluffy.
No, I know. But the thing is, it's like what is required in
Yeah.
order to create something. In a group like that, fluffiness is not required. But I suppose, you know, if we take ourselves into a different group, which is completely different, where that kind of, let's call it fluffy, whatever that is, fluffy is required, could you be fluffy then?
Yeah, I can be it.
Exactly. So, and that's the lovely
That's no problem.
Yeah.
But it's when you only are operating in fluffy and don't embrace the poo that is laying over there in the garden kind of thing.
No, we do roll in the poo here as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we love that.
We do it
And
all.
we turn it into something into something good. I mean, come
We
on.
do it all.
You know, petrified, it turns into coprolite. So
Did you do the painting behind you?
Yes. It's not the full. Yes, I did.
Gorgeous.
It's actually ladies like trees. They are floating like this.
Oh.
The trees.
What size is it?
It's I have no idea. It is lost somewhere in this world. I think it's an A3, if I remember right.
Oh, it's a small one. Okay.
Yeah.
It just looks so big behind you.
I know, right? I love big ladies. I'm a big lady. I'm a gentle giant. That's
Gigi.
the name Martina gave me. Gigi.
Yes. Yes, we met, Sandrine and I, we met in Turkey. And I've just seen one of Isa's, has anyone seen, I think it was her last post, where she mentioned Nimrud, mountain Nimrud, as a portal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know which, I asked the question, do we know which portal it's got, where does it go to?
Nibiru.
Nimrud.
Mount Nimrud in Turkey. That was part of our tour, you know, where all those various big heads left. Oh, they were probably full blown.
Well, yeah. It's up a mountain, and it's actually another man-made mountain made out of smaller stones, where Nemrut, you know, put the huge statues of himself, his family, and then also the gods with the gods, with Zeus, with the eagle head, with him amongst the gods in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I get that was to cover up the real thing.
Oh yeah, we all know, because it's a big pile of rubble, and nobody is allowed to get in there. So there you go.
Just got it.
Yeah.
There was something I read on that that's where the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah, that they found that it wasn't Nebuchadnezzar who claimed that those gardens were his, and they were searched for a number of times where he was ruling.
This is
but
Mount
that
Nimrud.
Nimrod actually
created
them. But that's
This
interesting.
is Nimrud.
I don't know. It was just funny it came up because it was on our trip.
Yeah,
You know?
but I think there are lots of tunnels underground there.
You know, do you see in the background this big pile of rubble? It's huge. It's immense.
Like the pyramid. We always said that, didn't we? Yeah.
And then you have on the two sides, on the eastern side and on the western side, you have these huge statues, and these are just the leftovers, where Nimrod sits with his family and he sits amongst the gods.
So he thinks.
Well, he didn't think, he did it.
It's among the Anunnakis,
Yeah.
that portal to Nibiru. I think it goes to Nibiru.
Oops, I need to put this in. Okay, guys, so as we're coming close to the 2 hours, I don't know how we do it, to be honest. Every time I'm thinking, let's just do 1 hour. We don't have to do 2. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we got
It's always two.
always 2 hours. But well, that's great. Is there anything else that is coming up for you that you want to mention, you want to throw in? Yes.
Well, we're also very specifically and uniquely coded, whether we know it or not. So wherever it is that we're going, where we're being, where we are, even if we're traveling through, for example, somewhere for a week or 2 or a month, we go back, home to where we were arrived on Earth. Whatever state of awareness we're in, whatever frequency we're in, there's the transmission, there's a receiving, there's a emission, and there's a permeation through all the layers. So we not never, but we don't always necessarily know why that is, and it could be so many multi-layered reasons, say you're, assembling particles or bringing something in, or, reconfiguring something, or, reassembling some awareness, or dissolving something away. There's so many layers of a being as a cosmic being that is unfolding. And the monumentous nature of saying, oh, well, I just happened to drive through whatever, North Carolina or somewhere. I mean, whatever it is, you're not just so happening to be anywhere. There's a very specific juncture point, timeline, ripple of everyone you meet, anyone there, all the layers, the frequency you're emitting. It's so vast and so big because we're all so massive of beings that to try to limit with the mind of like, and I know the mind wants to know so much information because it's the mind, right? But it's so vast of the whys that we're in these places, say anchoring something in, and the massive amount of underground civilizations everywhere that only that some of us know about, but there's all the layers in between. There's all the beings in between that are energies. There's the trees, there's the fairies, there's the nymphs, all the other layers of these star systems that are there holding, carrying, emitting, anchoring frequencies that say, the energy in a rock or the rock formation or the memory or something there could be for you, or you're taking with, and all these other potentialities. And to widen the understanding of like what we're doing here at every moment, to be present with it and with that, with us, to be present and conscious, is to really do that, like you were saying before, co-creation, conscious co-creation as cosmic beings, right? So and there are components we will understand or have awareness of, or maybe we'll learn later, like why were we at that place then? But we're doing so much in the you say grounding or anchoring, but grounding through movement for me is something I understand, because when I'm moving is when I'm grounding. Like I'm moving, I'm grounding, I'm anchoring, I'm reconfiguring, and if I'm still, that's a whole different unfolding. So like what is happening when you're moving through or moving with dance you know, and what's unfolding. How'd you do that? I like that. I don't, but that's what I wanted to ask you. I love that. But yeah, to widen our gaze, essentially realize how vast we are and how powerful we are as co-creators, and then as we're weaving back together with each other, and we're even weaving together these different frequencies and the information, because energy and information, we go somewhere where, whether we realize it or not, we're weaving, you know, we're bringing that, we're bridging different energies. Say you're bridging the, you know, the under realms to the etheric realms, or whatever it is at the moment. It's so multi-layered.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Which is why Penelope was so important in the Odysseus.
Barry, now you have to tell us how you do it.
Ah, there you
Or
go.
you go into reactions and send with effect.
Oh,
And
okay.
what?
You go into reactions
Yeah, I went in there, but
and then you use the one that it says send with effect.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I saw
Oh.
that.
All right. Let me put it.
Oh, we're going to have fun with that one.
No,
Nice.
thank you, Sareen. And this is again another reminder what you said earlier on, that you come from a place of being. That is being. That includes everything. It's not necessarily just the separation of doing or having. It's really the being, the expressing of who you truly be, and go beyond doubt and hesitation, and just really trust.
Yeah.
And trust is again, it's an intrinsic, it's part of our intrinsic nature. It's not something that we even have to learn, because that is part of the package. We must just stop not trusting, you know. So get rid of doubt, get rid of hesitation, and innately there is intuition. You know, and that's the sensorial perception that is associated to beingness. Feeling is associated to the body. Sensory perception is associated to the beingness, to the infinite being, if you want to call it that, or spirit or soul, or that kind of thing. And that coming together. So emotions doesn't even come into this. There's no need for that. But then again, we're not making it a bad thing. It is what it is. But, you know, the more we can balance it out and just stick to the duality of consciousness, because we are actually understanding the difference, then we're going to be okay. We can start creating from a 0-point energy perspective. Like, I mean, let's think about it. You know, everybody talks about, you know, that sake thing, what you call it, in the tub when the water goes down the drain, right? It's like, does the drain have to have a point of view in order to create that vortex? Does it have to be, is it bad or good that happens? No, it just happens because we're bending space-time. We're creating gravity through bending space-time, through movement, right? Like Sareen just said. And I feel you, because also when I'm in the house too much without moving, there's too much stagnation going on in my energies. They have to move. And even if it's going for a walk or going to the supermarket, it doesn't matter. You've got to move those energies.
Yeah, but that's what happened this winter to me. I didn't move. I was doing embroidery for hours and hours and hours. I was unable to move, and I'm a very big mover. So I didn't really get it. So yeah.
Maybe that was necessary as well.
Yeah, that was a big
Duality.
yeah, it was a very big one.
Structure, seasons, blah, blah, blah.
But I get what you say, Serene, with when we are going, like, it's very funny because my daughter and I, we are very connected, and she went to Denmark, and she has been also trying to figure out where she was going, and she has gotten back to France. She said, Mom, I can't do it. I'm not French in my head. I go back. So we are both going back. But we haven't even discussed, like, it was so fun to observe. And I have always also been like in my car. It was some weeks ago. And I was driving on this small road. And then all of a sudden there was a church in the middle of a field, like nowhere, in the middle of nowhere. And there was a blue helicopter landing. And I was like, that was kind of like surreal. It was like, what is that doing? And then all of a sudden I was doing light language, like, but it was not, it was like, it was like I was for 5 kilometers just talking light language. I don't know what that was about, but I don't even think about it anymore. But it's so interesting to see what we are doing in these higher planes that I'm not conscious of what I did. I just did it. Just came out.
Was that your first time? You've never done light language before, or was that
No,
your...
no, no. I often do it when I'm in nature, but this was in my car. That had never happened.
Okay.
Like, as soon as I got to that church and I saw that scene with the helicopter, I just started like, and I was talking thunder. It was not the little light language. It was like, it was like for 5 kilometers. It was like the Viking came up in me and I was just addressing, I don't know what. It was interesting. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's different ways of dispersing, working with energies, absolutely. And just being in allowance of what rises, you know, fluffy or intense.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Consciousness includes everything and judges nothing.
Yeah.
It's all just a choice. Oh God, now it's getting, this is a totally different topic.
Well,
Just-
may you all have a wonderful, fluffy, spicy day.
Exactly. Thank you so much for being here, for everyone to come and to join us for the first time. And I hope you will be
Thank you.
back.
Thank
Um,
you.
Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
so happy to have
Thank
met
you.
you all. Really.
Fabulous.
Beautiful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm gonna pop the recording on YouTube later on, and I will post it in Facebook. So thank you so much for your
Beautiful.
contributions, and have a fluffy day. Yeah, fluffy. Yes, guys.
Thank you.
Huh?
Bye bye.